Alright, I'm recording. Hey gang, Andy here. I'm just making a video response to Reina of the YouTube channel, ComicalReina. And in a recent video, she asked about different lifestyle changes that you've made, or like big life decisions that you've made. And in this video, I want to talk about one of the biggest lifestyle changes that I've made, and that was joining the U.S. Navy back in 2010. Now, just to kind of paint you a picture of what my life was like back then, I was unemployed for the most part. In between jobs, I was only able to hold on to a job for maybe two or 3 months at the max, usually because of lack of hours, lack of pay. The work would either be too much for me to handle, and I just end up quitting, or I just didn't like the work, whatever the case may be. I owed a lot of money. I was very heavily in debt, mostly due to student loans and a couple car loans, and just a lot of really bad financial decisions, which I've since learned from. And I was living with my parents at the time, and due to my lack of employment and lack of money, and because I owed a whole bunch of money for student loans and stuff like that, I couldn't even go to community college, because I didn't have the money to pay out of pocket, and like I said, student loans were out of the question. So eventually my mom gave me an ultimatum, which was to join the service or find another place to live. And since I didn't really have another backup, I didn't have anywhere else to go, basically, I decided to join. But before I actually put pen to paper saying I'll serve and stuff like that, excuse me, I talked a lot with my cousins, who are a predominantly military family, and I just talked with them, asking them, what boot camp was like, what life in the Navy or the Air Force was like, and stuff like that. Just asking a bunch of questions, doing a lot of research online, looking at the at the time scant amount of YouTube videos of real soldiers and sailors and Marines and airmen and stuff like that, talking about their lives, and actually, keeping it real rather than it being a bunch of infomercials. So, also did a lot of research on About.com's military section, which I still think to this day is a really good source of information. So, yeah, definitely check that out. It's my little plug to military.about.com. So, check it out. But anyway, did a lot of research. Talked with actual people that had been in the service, and eventually decided to put pen to paper, and was sworn in on April Fool's Day, of all days, of 2010, and I went to boot camp June 24th, 2010. Graduated August 20th, 2010. Went to different schools, went to a school out in Chicago area, then got transferred here to San Diego around Thanksgiving time 2010, and that's pretty much where I've been ever since. But the cool thing is, one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons I wanted to join Japan. Obviously for a good job, money's always good, and to see the world, stuff like that, get to visit different countries, and eventually go to college. I can do courses while I'm in, but mostly, when I'm out. Go back to college, all expenses paid, and stuff like that. So that seemed really enticing to me. And but one of the places I really wanted to go to, and one of the main reasons I decided to join, was to go to Japan and be stationed out there. And to kind of get back to my cousins, as a predominantly military family and stuff like that. At the time, one of my older cousins was stationed out in Yokosuka on the USS The Sullivans, which I think is still out there, at least at the time of this recording. I believe that ship is still out there, and this is back in the early to mid 90s is when they were out there. So at the time I was around 6, 7, 8 years old, and they were always sending me a bunch of cool Japanese stuff like chopsticks, and I think a couple glasses and things like that. But one of the things that really sparked my love of Japan from way back in the day, was a little Lego boat. They sent me, I was really big into Legos back in the day, so they sent me a little boat, a little speedboat with a little guy, and it's pretty easy to set up. And I don't know if they still do this now, but back then they had they had the little instruction book on how to make it, and a little pamphlet on other Lego sets. You'd have like the castle set, the pirate set, the Technic set, which you could like build cars and stuff like that. You'd have the town set, and other various things that were out at the time. And since they bought it in Japan, all the writing and stuff was in like kanji and katakana and stuff like that, and that seemed really intriguing to me, just to see, all the pictures of the same Lego stuff that I've gotten from other sets, but in a completely different language, and just like it was so foreign and so amazing, and I was just like, whoa, like this is really cool. It just like it just blew my mind, So I think that's one of the things that really started my big love of Japan. And it's kind of funny that, almost 25 years later, 20 years later, I'll be out in the same exact place that they were at. I'll be stationed out in Yokosuka in May of 2013. And it's kind of a weird full circle moment, to see, 20 years ago they were stationed out there, and 20 years later I'm stationed out there, and it's really like I said, a full circle moment. So I think that's pretty cool. But to kind of get back into the whole big life decisions and stuff like that sort of deal, I kind of went off on a tangent there. But like I said, it was really hard for me to make the decision, and I think I'm about I've been in for about 2.5 years at the time of this recording. And I've been faced with a lot of different challenges, not only with my job, but also with just simply being away from my family for extended periods of time. Because me and my immediate family are very tight, and we're very tight, and it's just it's really hard for me to deal with the fact that I'm not with them, often, or at least within reasonable driving distance away from them. And it's been very difficult for me to handle that. But thankfully, nowadays we got technology like Skype, and I text my mom, call my mom on my cell phone. I don't have to write actual letters, send them out and stuff like that. The technology makes everything very instantaneous. So I think that's going to be really helpful for me, especially when I go off to Japan, where it's going to be a completely different world out there, and we're going to be running different time schedules and stuff like that. So to have this kind of technology, I honestly couldn't imagine being a sailor back in the early to mid 90s, where the technology wasn't there to constantly keep in touch with your loved ones, and I honestly don't think I could have handled it. It was a totally different time back then. And I definitely, tip my hat to those who have served during that time frame, and even earlier than that. That's just, it just blows my mind, So the things that they went through. But anyway, that's basically what I wanted to talk about in this video, about one of the big lifestyle changes, as well as the upcoming big lifestyle change of moving out to Japan, May 2013. Can't wait. So yeah, this is TheAndySan signing off for now. Thanking you guys for tuning in to this video here, and others. And I want to thank you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing, sending a few friends to the party. And hey, as always, we'll see you next time. Bye guys. Bye Reina.